Hi guys, and welcome to Escape Wheel Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be reviewing the Watchdives WD6542. I received this watch for free. I don't have to send the watch back, but you guys know the deal by now. No matter how I get a watch in for review on this channel, you're always going to get my honest opinion every single time. And if by the end of this review you want to pick one of these up, I'll be leaving an affiliate link down in the video description as always. That is an affiliate link, so if you use that link, you're not going to pay any extra. It just earns me a little bit of commission, so it's a nice free way for you guys to support the channel and help keep things running. So I really do appreciate the continued support from all of you guys. The retail price for this watch is $229 US, but if you act quickly, you can get it for an early bird price of $189 US, and that does include free FedEx delivery. The watch comes in a few different configurations that you can see here, as well as a brown and green version that are coming very soon. The watch case is made of 316L stainless steel. It has a sapphire crystal, a sapphire bezel insert, screw-down crown, screw-down caseback, 100 meters of claimed water resistance, and the watch is powered by the Seiko NH34 automatic GMT movement. So you guys need to get ready for the onslaught of watches coming from Watchdives this year. I know they have a bunch in the pipeline. This is just the beginning. I have at least one coming in, if not two coming in. I love what they're doing, and I really do like this watch. So I say we get into the full review. But before we do a quick wrist check today. Wearing the Venezianico Nerde. This is the 39mm version, brand new. So I was kind of unaware that they released a 39mm version, so this one kind of surprised me. Beautiful watch though. Review for this will be coming up soon. All right, first things first, we'll get into the dimensions. A bezel diameter of 38.9 millimeters, 12.7 millimeters thick, 20 millimeter lug width. Lug tip to lug tip is bang on 47 millimeters. And sized up for my 7.5 inch wrist with no links removed. It weighs 130 grams. So I think the size on the watch is great, just under 39 millimeters at the bezel, 12.7 thick, which is actually pretty darn good for an NH34, 47 lug to lug. Decent thickness. You got a flat case there, very little turn down to the lugs, but I think they did a pretty good job with the case sculpting on it for what it is. I mean, it's definitely a little bit off of what the original was. It's missing drilled lugs, so just something to consider, but I do like the way that the watch wears. I thought it would kind of wear a little top heavy since the watch head is actually heavier than the bracelet, but on wrist, it's a different experience, and it's been fine for me. So I'm going to go outside right now and throw it on my wrist for you. And here we are on my 7.5 inch wrist, and as you can see, I think it wears great. I thought it would be a little bit small on me, but definitely has some wrist presence. Feels pretty balanced on the wrist, even though the watch head is quite a bit heavier than the bracelet. So it just goes to show you that the case is really sitting nice and flat on the wrist, and I think it just looks really, really good. You can see legibility, a little bit of an issue with this model, but really not that bad. And popping out in some direct sunlight there, you can see the stark white dial, plenty of air coating on the crystal. I think it looks really good. Lots of bling on the bracelet, nice polishing, nice finishing in general. I think it'll look good on some straps too, so let's go and do it. And here we are on a Hemsuit vintage leather strap in dark brown. I think that looks really, really good. Really happy with how that turned out. And maybe you want something a little bit more sporty. Here we are on a FKM cut to size strap with a kind of a tropic pattern. Link will be down below for this one. I think that actually looks pretty good. Next up, here we are on a single pass nylon strap. 1 layer is underneath the watch there. This is from CNS Watch Bands in case you want to check them out. I think the khaki looks pretty good on this one, matching those indices almost perfectly. I think it looks good. And lastly, here we are on a Cincy Strapco SF2. These nylon straps, they are pretty slim, so there's 2 layers underneath it, but it still sits very nice, and this one is actually not tightened down too much. So I do think it looks really good though. This is actually a strap monster. I wasn't expecting it to be, but definitely is a strap monster. All right, let's go back inside. Let's get back to this review. All right, so let's talk about the case finishing. So the case is a mixture of brushed and polished surfaces. You can see on the tops of the lugs, I'm kind of seeing a little bit of a mismatch in the brushing. It's subtle, but it's something that I noticed. You can see this lug here and this lug here is a very coarse brushing, and then these two lugs here are a little bit more of a fine brushing. So it's just something that I noticed, and yeah, it's maybe something that Watchdives can kind of pay attention to in the future. That's yeah, just a little odd, but I think the brushing individually looks pretty good. The case sides here, really nicely done. You do have a 6.5 millimeter screw down crown sign there with the Trident logo. It all looks very nicely done. The bottom edge here, a little bit sharp, but not too bad. It hasn't bothered me on the wrist at all. And as far as any other sharp corners, maybe just the inside of these lugs here, the lug tips. That's pretty much it. I haven't noticed anything else, and it's like I said, it's been very comfortable on the wrist for me. Just a couple little spaces where they could just soften it up just a little bit more, and it would be better. Flipping it around to the case back here, circular brushing on the case back. It's a screw down case back with that coin edge. I'm gonna knock them every single time. I'd like to see just a normal notch system there for a regular tool. These can kind of be a pain in the butt. So yeah, just a normal notched case back would be a lot better than this one. Unsigned, unspectacular, but unoffensive at the same time. All right, so let's talk about the bezel. So first off, the bezel insert. It is a sapphire bezel insert. I did test that for sapphire with my diamond selector too. It came back positive, so that's nice to see. And then you've got this really dark blue on the top and then a brighter red on the bottom. I think it looks good. It's a little bit more blue than the Ixtao was. The Ixtao was a very, very dark blue, and you didn't really see it until you got it under super bright light. So this is a little bit more Pepsi than that one is, but it's very nice. You can see it is a domed piece of sapphire there, and it just looks really, really good. They did a nice job with it. The numerals, they look a little fuzzy, which is perfect for this style in my opinion. The faux patina on it I think looks pretty good as well. It is lumed. We'll talk about the lume here in just a little bit. And the bezel itself, it's a polished and brushed, or polished and I guess bead blasted in between the little teeth there, but plenty of grip on it. It's a 24 click bi-directional bezel. The action on it is actually pretty darn good. I'll let you see the play in the bezel. There is just a little bit of play in the bezel, but not that bad at all. But here is the bezel action. It clicks right into place. You can't really hear it. It's a pretty quiet bezel. But yeah, it feels good. It locks kind of right into place. And yeah, I think for the most part, it's a completely usable bezel. It's same resistance in both directions. I've got no real complaints with it other than down here. I'm not sure if the dial is maybe off a little bit or the bezel is off a little bit. But you can see the alignment up here is perfect. This 12 is just a little bit off. So I'm not really sure. When I rotate this down here, you can see it's also just a little bit off. So yeah, I don't know if I think the dial might be printed out of alignment just a little bit, but nitpicking here at this point. But I do really like the bezel on it. Like I said, there's just a little bit of play in it, but it's really not that bad. All right, so let's talk about the crystal. First things first, we'll test it for sapphire. It is positive for sapphire. There's the bezel insert. Ooh. So we have a box dome style sapphire crystal. It's a pretty small radius there on the edge. Looks really good though. Clear anti-reflective coating and plenty of it. It's a very, very nice crystal. A little bit of distortion on the edges there, but I mean, nice and clear even at the extreme angles. They chose a very good crystal for this watch. I think it looks fantastic. All right, getting up close and talking about the dial. So the dial on this model, it's a matte stark white. It doesn't have any other color to it. It's just a pure white dial, a black printed minute track around the outside. You can see at all the hour indices, the minute track actually extends to the index itself and gives a little lollipop here. And I mean, it just looks, it's a really nice little attention to detail. I think it looks fantastic. I think the faux patina looks great. They did a good job on it. They chose a good shade. It's not too orange like the Ixtao was, or a lot of other brands go a little bit too orange. This is kind of a nice pale color. I think it looks fantastic. The daytime lume color, as you can see here, it's a little bit off, but it's not something that's ever bothered me personally. It's something that I see in photos and I think that it's going to bother me, but I get it in real life and it definitely does not bother me at all. So that's just me though. If it's something that bothers you, don't buy the watch because it is definitely there. The handset that they chose, you can get this with Mercedes handset or just a pencil style handset, which is what we have here. I think they look good. yeah, I mean, they do get a little bit lost against the white, as you can, kind of see right there when the hands pick up reflections. But for the most part, it's a very legible dial. I think the handset is a good size. The GMT hand is fully red there. I think it looks really good. And then your lollipop second hand sweeping around. Yeah, I mean, it all looks very nice. The printing is nice and crisp, as you can see there. The Lume itself looks nicely centered in each one of those little borders. And it does have just a little bit of depth to it. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I mean, it's there. They're a little bit, puffy looking. You have on this model, a 6 o'clock date window there, looking really good, nicely centered. And then you have your GMT automatic 100 meters printed there at the 6 o'clock position. It's a very clean looking dial. Like I said, I think there's something out of alignment, but I can't really tell what it is that's out of alignment. So as far as the dial goes, it all looks very good to me. Yeah, it's a really, really clean setup, and the Lume it's okay. I'm going to pop up a Lume shot here. You can see it against a couple other watches in the collection, and it does okay. It's definitely not diver watch good. It's kind of what I expected. It's printed in faux patina, so it's not the best Lume. Far from the worst Lume though. All right, so let's talk about the movement and the crown. So the movement is the Seiko NH34 automatic GMT. It's 21,600 beats per hour. It hacks, hand winds, quick set date, quick set GMT hand. Everything functions as it should. Here's how this one has been running. Definitely cannot complain about that at all. Really happy with the accuracy on this particular unit. And really happy with these movements in general. They're accurate enough, they're reliable, and they're pretty cheap and easy to work with. So if you do ever need to replace it or service it, it's very affordable and very easy to do. Even for someone with limited skills like myself, I'm able to swap this movement out in about 40 minutes. So yeah, no big deal there. Really happy with the movement though. The operation of the movement is done through this 3 o'clock screw down crown. Again, signed logo, good grip on the crown. Nice smooth screw in and screw out action. You get a decent pop out too. First position is your hand winding. Feels exactly like an NH35. Second position, this is where you change your date. You can roll it backwards to change the date. You roll it forwards to jump the GMT hand. Yeah, everything functions as it should. Everything works as it should. Pulling it out to the third position, hacks the movement. This is where you set your time. Check the alignment here. The alignment looks to be spot on. Yeah, there's just not a whole lot to complain about. The crown feels nice and solid too. Push it in, starts up the movement every time. And yeah, the screw in action, like I said, very smooth. It's one of those ones where you're winding the movement while you're screwing it in, but not a big deal on an NH35. All right, so let's talk about the bracelet. So the bracelet, it's your typical 5-link style bracelet, solid links, solid end links, female pivot end links, which drop straight down. You have push pins for sizing. I had no need to remove links, so that's one thing. If you have anything over a 7.5-inch wrist, it's going to be a very, very tight fit for you. So maybe ask for some more links. But besides that, I think the bracelet is actually pretty good. The bottom edge here has been rounded off nicely. The fluidity is good. It doesn't pull hairs. You do have quick release spring bars, which is a nice bonus as well. The end links, they fit in nice. There's no big gaps or anything like that. They're nice and tight. They're not wobbling around. They follow the case curvature pretty darn nicely, in my opinion. Yeah, it's a good Jubilee bracelet. It's definitely not quite as nice as what you get from like a San Martin, but it's actually a very nice and very comfortable Jubilee. And you can see there's enough flex in it where it makes it super comfortable, but not enough where it feels super cheap. So that's kind of a hard balance to hit with this J style bracelet. So, but yeah, I think they got it pretty good. The clasp, it's your typical Watchdives style clasp. So a nicely pressed outer shell with the Watchdives logo there, brushed on the top, brushed on the sides, and a nice polished chamfer. 5 levels of micro adjust. This one is set up, you can see screws there and screws on this end over here, right there. So this is set up for an on-the-fly adjustment clasp. If you want to add that, you can do that. But this clasp here is perfectly acceptable in my opinion. It's nicely milled on the inside. It opens and closes every single time with a nice satisfying click. yeah, there's just not a whole lot to complain about. Plenty of micro adjust too, so you're going to get a great fitment on this watch. It's low profile, but yeah, I think overall the bracelet on this watch is actually really, really good, and it's something that I think looks excellent on this watch. So I'll probably mostly be rocking it on this bracelet because it does look really good, and again, it is very comfortable. So there you go, guys. That is the Watchdives WD6542. Obviously a homage of a very famous Rolex that you cannot buy anymore. Well, you can, but you're going to be spending a lot of money on it. And this one, I feel like, a lot of people have been asking me about this or the Ixtao. Which one would I choose? I think the Ixtao, looks a little bit better, and that's just because it follows closely to the original. But I think this is a very nice modern interpretation of that old watch, where I think the Ixtao is trying to copy that watch completely. So yeah, I think they're two separate little individual watches in this very niche design. But yeah, I think this is just as nice as the Ixtao is, better in some areas than it is. Yeah, so I think that's kind of what you have to lean it up to. Do you want something that's a little bit more modern, a little bit more compact? The brushing on the case sides is not going to scratch like the 904L steel polished sides on the Ixtao will. I think the crystal on this one is better. I think the Lume is pretty much a match between the two, and I think the bracelets are close enough too. So yeah, two very nice watches. This one is quite a bit cheaper though, so it's definitely something that you should consider if you're looking into those two watches. Yeah, so that's my take on the Ixtao versus Watchdives. Personally, I would probably go with this one. I like this watch a little bit more than that watch. So yeah, that's my take on it. So I think that's it for me. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.